Hello students, how are you? Okay, fine. Enjoying e-learning? Sorry, nice. You are very much smart. Okay. So welcome to all of you in your first English class. I'm your English teacher. I am Kumari Vandana, and I'm going to teach you the first chapter of your literature textbook, that is Beehive. Students, there are 3 books that you have to study in class 9th. Beehive, Moments, and the third one is Words and Expression. And please, you must have all these 3 books. The first chapter that I will teach you today is from your literature textbook, that is from Beehive. In this video, I will just tell you about the introduction of the lesson. I'll give you a brief introduction of characters and some paragraph of the story. So just let's start. The fun they had. Fun, enjoyment, pleasure. The synonyms of fun is pleasure, enjoyment, okay, and they refers to children, and it is authored by Isaac Asimov. Okay, introduction. At first we will see the introduction of the story. The Fun They Had by Isaac Asimov is a futuristic, or you could say it a science fiction, okay, set in 23rd century. Means at the very beginning of the story you will find that Margie, the protagonist, has entry in her diary that reveals the date 2157. Okay, so this story is set in the future, that is in 23rd century. The story gives an idea about the schools and education system in future. The beginning of the story informs us about an old book that Tommy had found. It was just like the one that Margie's grandfather's grandfather had in his time when he studied in old kind of school. The book is about the actual school where children of the same age studied together, and their teacher used to be human beings. Margie and Tommy have mechanical teachers, and it is programmed and adjusted according to the mental level, or you could say IQ, of each child. Both children are wonderstruck at the book found by Tommy in his attic, or you could say storeroom. After knowing about old school, Margie found his mechanical teacher more uninteresting, and she lost in the world where children had all fun while studying in a school with other children from a human teacher. Okay, now get some ideas about the character of the story. There are 4 characters in the story. First one is Margie. Already I have told you she is protagonist. Protagonist means the main character of the story. She is 11 years old and she just hated school. Okay, but recently she had started the school more than ever. We will come to know the reason. What was the reason? Tommy is Margie's neighbor. He is 13 years old. And next character is Mrs. Jones. Who is Mrs. Jones? Mrs. Jones is Margie's mother, who was very disciplined and careful about the hours of study of her daughter. Last and fourth character of the story is County Inspector. He is a round man with red face who comes to repair the mechanical teacher of Margie. Okay, so now move to the story. See students, first, the story starts with the diary entry by Margie. Okay, let me show you the heading of the story. That is The Fun They Had. Okay, so just come to the beginning of the story. Margie even wrote about it that night in her diary on the page headed 17th May 2157. She wrote, "Today Tommy found a real book." So what we have seen that Margie, already I have told you Margie is the main character of the story. And the day when Tommy found a book, she mentions it in her diary that Tommy found a real book. It was a very old book the book that Tommy had found, and the book reminded Margie of her grandfather. Okay, look, Margie's grandfather once said that when he was a little boy, his grandfather told him that there was a time when all stories were printed on paper. So she is reminded of her grandfather. He told her, who? Margie's grandfather once told her that his grandfather studied all the books that were printed on paper. So this kind of a book is ancient for them, ancient or historical we could say. Next para. They turned the pages which were yellow and crinkly, and it was awfully funny to read words that stood still instead of moving the way they were supposed to on a screen, So, in this para, narrator is telling about the book that Tommy had found. The pages of the book had turned yellow and crushed, and it was very old, and children found it awfully funny to read words that stood still. Now, what does it mean? What does it mean by that, the words that stood still? It means printed book have the words have been printed on the real book, so they didn't move the way they were supposed to on a screen. We know that Margie and Tommy had mechanical teachers, okay, and they are having telebooks. And in telebooks, what happened? Text keeps on moving. And then when they turned back to the page before, it had the same words on it that it had when they read it the first time. Obviously, we get just in printed book, whenever we flip the pages, we get the same content. Gee, said Tommy, what a waste. Do you know, student, gee is an exclamatory word. Okay, so, and it is used to express surprise or pleasure. So here Tommy was surprised, and he just called a printed book nothing but waste. What was the reason? Because after one time reading, it could be thrown away. Okay, the reason was that after one reading, it could be thrown away. I guess our television screen must have had million books on it, and it's good for plenty more. I wouldn't thrown it away. And then he told that his computer has many books, million books, and he could read many more on it. Margie had same opinion about printed book, and along with his computer screen, television screen. She was 11 and hadn't seen as many telebooks as Tommy had. He was 13. Tommy was 13 years old and Margie was 11 only, so she has not read as many books as Tommy had. She said, "Where did you find it?" Margie asked Tommy where he had found the book. "In my house." He pointed without looking because he was busy reading in the attic. So what happened? When Margie asked Tommy where he had found the book, Tommy just told that he found the printer book in the storeroom of his house. He was so busy reading the book that he did not remove his glance from the book. Then Margie asked what the book was about. Tommy told him that the book was about the school, okay, and how the children were taught, where they were taught. Margie was scornful. The other word for scornful you could use disdainful, contemptuous. Scornful is a word or disdainful is a word when we use when we just think that nothing is that much important to give your attention, so that you could give your attention. Margie was scornful. School? What's there to write about school? I hate school. So she was very much scornful or disdainful for that, knowing that. Margie always hated school, but now she hated it more than ever. Okay, what was the case with her? She just hated the school.